Hey guys, today we're not just looking up at the night sky, we're drifting toward it. Out your window, the moon hangs there, glowing softly like a quiet thought that refuses to fade. It has always been there, the same pale disk that washed over your childhood, over your parents' youth, over every ancestor who ever paused and wondered beneath its light. Tonight, you'll follow that ancient glow not with rockets or telescopes, but with your mind. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time of night it is for you. Wherever you are, let the world slow down for a while. Soften your gaze, let the hum of life around you fade, and gently drift with us into tonight's quiet exploration. You start to notice how still the moon seems. It doesn't flicker, it doesn't sparkle like the stars. It just is a perfect balance of light and silence. But that calm surface hides a restless history. Billions of years ago, when the solar system was young and chaotic, the moon didn't exist at all. Earth was alone, hot, spinning fast, and under constant bombardment from leftover fragments of rock and ice. One of those fragments, perhaps the size of Mars, slammed into Earth with unimaginable force. For a moment, our planet was broken. The impact sent molten rock and vaporized metal flying into orbit. And from that cloud of fiery debris, something began to gather, slowly, silently, pulled together by gravity's invisible hand. That something became our moon. It wasn't born cold and white like we see it now. It was born glowing, red-hot, wrapped in magma. The moon you see tonight began as a world of fire. Imagine standing on a young Earth and looking up. The moon would have been enormous, maybe 3 or 4 times larger in the sky. Its light would have been so bright that shadows would stretch for kilometers. The nights would have been short, wild, and glowing. It's hard to picture that now, as you sit here in this soft, dark quiet. But every calm night carries the echo of that fiery birth. As Earth cooled, the moon drifted outward. It's still drifting, about 4 centimeters farther every year. Someday, far into the future, it will appear smaller in the sky, in total solar eclipses. Those rare, perfect moments when the moon covers the sun will cease to exist. But for now, it stays at the perfect distance to create beauty. And that distance matters. The moon doesn't just float above us for decoration. It anchors Earth's rhythm. Without it, our planet would spin faster, our days would shorten, our tides would weaken. Even the tilt of our axis might wobble out of control, throwing our seasons into chaos. In a quiet, unseen way, the moon keeps our world steady. It's like a cosmic heartbeat, gentle, constant, and essential. Look at how its light falls on the world. The glow you see isn't the moon's own. It's sunlight reflected off ancient dust. That dust has lain there untouched for billions of years, sharp-edged, unweathered, because there's no wind, no rain, no time to smooth it down. Every grain remembers everything. When you look at the moon, you're seeing memory itself, frozen light bouncing off forgotten ages. Some nights, you can almost feel that stillness in your own body, the way your breath slows when you stare at it. The way your thoughts seem to quiet down, as if gravity itself has softened. Maybe that's why people through history have always looked to the moon for comfort. It never shouts, never burns. It simply reflects. You might think of the poets who called it a mirror, or the scientists who called it a rock. Both were right in their own way. The moon mirrors our emotions, but it also mirrors our beginnings. The leftover piece of a violent creation that somehow became the gentlest thing in our sky. And as you listen to this calm voice, as your breathing evens out, you might feel yourself aligning with that rhythm. Steady, unhurried, ancient. The same rhythm that guides tides. The same rhythm that once pulled molten rock into a circle. In a few minutes, you'll start to drift into that same stillness, the one that has watched over every sleeping creature since life began. Because long before the first human dream, there was the moon, glowing over a quiet sea, waiting for someone like you to notice. The moon doesn't ask to be understood. It simply shines softly, endlessly, over every moment of chaos below. And tonight, for just a little while, it's yours. You're still there, gazing at that quiet glow. The night has deepened a little. Maybe you can hear the faint hum of the city outside, or the whisper of wind brushing against your window. Yet above all that noise, the moon remains suspended in silence. You wouldn't know, just by looking at it, that it was born from catastrophe, from a collision so massive it nearly tore Earth apart. But that's where our story truly begins. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth was a very different place. Picture it, a fiery, spinning sphere wrapped in molten rock, surrounded by clouds of vaporized minerals. Then, from the blackness of space, came an intruder, a young world the size of Mars, now called Theia. It slammed into Earth at an angle, hard enough to melt both worlds almost completely. For hours, molten oceans raged where continents would one day drift. The energy released from that single impact was enough to light up the sky for years. And yet, from that chaos, something delicate was born. Fragments of Earth's mantle and Theia's crust were thrown into orbit. Glowing rivers of rock circling a wounded planet. Slowly, gravity gathered those fragments into a single sphere. The result was our moon. Not just a random rock, but a piece of Earth itself. A twin born from destruction. If you could see it then, you wouldn't recognize it. The newborn moon glowed a deep orange, its surface bubbling with lava oceans that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Volcanoes erupted silently in the vacuum, spilling basalt into the craters that shaped its future face. For millions of years, it shimmered like an ember in the dark, and then slowly began to cool. The seas of fire hardened into stone. The glowing light dimmed. The airless surface turned gray. And in that transformation, the moon became what we know today, a silent witness to the violence that shaped our solar system. Scientists once thought the moon might have formed elsewhere, perhaps captured by Earth's gravity. But its composition tells a different story. The rocks brought back by Apollo astronauts matched the chemistry of Earth's own crust, almost perfectly. The same oxygen isotopes, the same mineral fingerprints. The moon, it turns out, isn't a stranger. It's home, just a piece of it, set adrift. And yet, the story isn't over. Because this cosmic creation, this collision that should have been an ending, instead became a stabilizer, a partner, a quiet guardian. Without that impact, Earth might never have become calm enough to cradle life. The tilt of our axis, the rhythm of our tides, even the length of our days, all shaped by the moon's steady pull. It's strange, isn't it, how something so gentle could have been born from such violence. It's as if the universe took one act of chaos and sculpted balance from it. You could say the moon is proof that beauty sometimes grows out of disaster. When you think about it, maybe that's what draws us to it. Every time you look up, you're seeing the aftermath of something unimaginable, and yet it feels peaceful. It's the same paradox you find in life itself. From turbulence, calm. From noise, silence. From fire, reflection. Let your mind drift there for a moment. Picture molten Earth, and glowing debris swirling together, turning slowly in the void. No sound, no wind, just light and gravity weaving the first dance of companionship between Earth and Moon. As the Moon cooled, it locked its face toward us, forever showing only one side. That strange synchronization happened naturally, a result of tidal forces over millions of years. It's as if, from that day on, the Moon decided to look back at Earth, never turning away again. Tonight, as you watch it from your window, you're part of that same connection, a silent observer looking at something that once looked back. Between you and it lies a bridge of light, billions of years long, woven from dust, reflection, and time. You could call that bridge gravity. You could call it memory. But maybe it's something gentler, the universe's way of reminding you that even from chaos, calm is possible. Close your eyes for a second and imagine that first night, when Earth and Moon finally settled into their orbits, glowing softly in the newborn solar system. Everything else was dark, unformed, uncertain. But there they were, two bodies tied together by the same collision, beginning again. It's been that way ever since. Every rising tide, every moonlit night, every whisper of calm that you feel when you look up, all of it began with that single, impossible impact. And now, billions of years later, here you are, breathing slowly under the same light. The chaos is long gone. What remains is quiet. You're still floating there in that soft silver light, halfway between waking and dreaming, when you start to notice something subtle. The rhythm of your breath matches something outside of you, a slow, patient pull and a gentle release. It's the same rhythm that moves the oceans, the same rhythm the Moon began keeping long before humans ever drew breath. If you were standing on the shore right now, you'd feel it, that invisible hand tugging at the water, drawing it toward the horizon and letting it fall back again. The Moon, hanging there in silence, is what makes the oceans breathe. Long before we understood gravity, ancient sailors already knew. The Moon commands the sea. Its pull is small, just a whisper compared to the sun's immense force. But because it's so close to us, that whisper becomes powerful enough to shape the planet. It lifts entire oceans, twice a day, across thousands of kilometers. Imagine that, billions of tons of water, quietly rising and falling in response to a rock 384,000 kilometers away. It's almost poetic. You can't see it happen all at once, but you can feel it. Every tide a reminder that connection doesn't need to be visible to be real. On Earth, this constant movement does more than make waves. It stirs nutrients across the seafloor, feeds coral reefs, and drives the migration of countless species. The Moon's gravity keeps the ocean alive, mixing it like a cosmic spoon. Without those tides, the waters would grow still and lifeless. Entire ecosystems might fade away. And it doesn't stop there. The Moon also steadies the very tilt of our planet. About 23.5 degrees, the reason we have seasons. Without that gravitational anchor, Earth's axis would wobble chaotically over time. Summers could vanish. Winters could last for decades. The rhythm of life, the heartbeat of climate, would collapse into disorder. So, as you lie here breathing slowly, you're sharing that rhythm. Every inhale and exhale, every slow drift towards sleep, mirrors the same balance that holds oceans and seasons steady. You, Earth, and the Moon, all moving in quiet synchrony. Now imagine seeing that connection from space. From above, the tides don't look like waves, but like the slow pulse of a living world. The water bending and stretching toward the Moon, then relaxing back. It's almost like watching Earth breathe. Ancient poets noticed this long before physics could explain it. To them, the moon didn't just move water, it moved hearts. Lovers met beneath it, farmers planted by it, and dreamers measured time through its phases. Even now, people still say full moons bring strange moods, restlessness, vivid dreams, insomnia. Maybe it's superstition, maybe it's something deeper. Because when light hits the water at night, it's hard not to feel something stir inside you. There's a kind of recognition there that we are, after all, mostly water too. 70% of your body, drawn gently by the same lunar pull that moves the tides. No wonder you feel calm when the moon is full. No wonder your thoughts slow down. The same gravity that steadies oceans is whispering to your bloodstream. And the moon doesn't just pull, it listens. It keeps pace with Earth's spin like a careful dance partner. Every century, it drifts just a little farther away, about the width of your fingernail each year. As it does, Earth's rotation slows slightly, lengthening our days by tiny fractions of a second. Over billions of years, that small change adds up. It means that ancient Earth had shorter days, 22 hours long. The moon once looked much larger in the sky, and the tides rose higher, crashing farther inland. Our planet has been slowly exhaling ever since. Think of that. Every sunrise, every moonrise, a product of that slow cosmic choreography. The moon retreats, the Earth relaxes, day lengthens, night deepens. It's almost like the universe is stretching time itself, gently, as if to give us more of it. There's something comforting in that thought. That time, like the tides, doesn't rush. It expands, contracts, breathes. It follows a rhythm older than life, older than memory. So the next time you see the tide roll in, remember, you're watching the sky touch the sea. You're seeing gravity in motion, patience made visible. The moon, distant and silent, keeps the whole planet in balance, not by force, but by presence. And maybe that's why it feels so peaceful to look at. It reminds you that sometimes the quietest influence is the strongest. That steadiness can come from stillness. That even a whisper, repeated long enough, can move oceans. As your breath continues to slow, you might imagine the moon pulling not just the waves, but your thoughts, lifting them, letting them fall back softly again and again, until you and the ocean and the moon itself are breathing together. You've been following the moon for a while now, tracing its quiet power over tides and time. But here's something strange. For all the centuries we've watched it, we've never truly seen it all. Half of the moon has been invisible to human eyes for nearly all of history. The same face, with its familiar patterns of craters and dark Maria, always turns toward Earth. Those gentle gray plains you recognize so easily from your window, they're the only ones the human race ever knew until 1959. The other half, the dark side of the moon, remained a mystery, hidden not in shadow, but in geometry. The moon spins on its axis in perfect synchrony with its orbit around Earth. This phenomenon is called tidal locking. It means that as the moon moves, it turns just fast enough to keep one face always aimed at us, like a dancer holding eye contact through every step. And because of that, an entire hemisphere stayed secret for billions of years. When people once spoke of the dark side, they imagined endless night, perhaps even danger. But the truth is gentler. That far side sees sunlight just as much as the one we know. It just never shines toward us. What it hides, though, is astonishing. In 1959, the Soviet spacecraft Luna 3 sent back the first blurry images from that far side. What it revealed wasn't smooth, friendly plains like the ones we know, but a landscape far more chaotic. Jagged highlands, deep craters overlapping like scars. Later missions found something else surprising. The crust there is much thicker. It's as if the moon itself bears two different stories, one of peace and one of impact. No one knows exactly why. Some scientists believe that early in its formation, the side facing Earth remained warmer, kept molten longer by our planet's heat. The far side cooled faster, growing a thicker shell. Over time, lava seeped through the near side, forming the dark basalt plains we call Maria, Latin for seas. But the far side remained rugged, untouched by lava's smoothing hand. It's the moon's secret face, older, rougher, more ancient. Imagine standing there for a moment, looking up. The Earth would never rise in your sky. The stars would remain fixed, unchanging. The silence would be deeper than anything you could imagine. Even sound from your own footsteps wouldn't carry far in the airless dust. You'd be truly alone, surrounded by sunlight and shadow, and the faraway shimmer of the galaxy. It's strange to think that one half of our closest neighbor has never known the sight of us. Yet the two sides are bound forever, one locked in eternal gaze, the other forever turned away. It's a perfect cosmic metaphor for connection and distance, presence and mystery. When the Apollo astronauts orbited the moon, they finally saw that hidden side firsthand. The radio went silent each time they passed behind it, leaving mission control and the world below waiting in quiet suspense. For those few minutes, the astronauts were utterly cut off, drifting through the unknown. And yet, they described it as beautiful, stark, majestic, a world carved by time, illuminated by light that no human had ever seen before. The far side wasn't frightening, it was serene. The same silence that lulled them also held them in awe. It makes you wonder how often we fear the unknown, only to find calm waiting there. The far side of the moon teaches that lesson softly. That mystery isn't always darkness, and distance isn't always loneliness. Sometimes, what we can't see is just another way the universe keeps balance. Even now, probes and orbiters continue to map every crater and valley of that unseen hemisphere. We found a massive impact basin there, the South Pole, Aitken Basin, one of the largest in the solar system. It stretches over 2,500 kilometers, so vast that Earth's entire continental United States could fit inside it. Scientists think this might be one of the oldest scars in the solar system, a memory from a time when collisions shaped everything. But there's also quiet beauty there. Smooth plains dusted in silver light, frozen shadows stretching endlessly toward the horizon. The kind of landscape that makes you think of eternity, unchanging, untouched. So next time you look up at the moon, remember, you're only seeing half of its story. The other half, hidden in stillness, is always there, holding the memory of impact and silence, of heat and cold, of time itself. And in a way, that's true for you too. Half of what you are, your thoughts, your dreams, your inner world, never shows on the surface. But it's there, shaping everything. The moon reminds you that unseen doesn't mean absent. Some things are meant to stay quiet, and that's what makes them sacred. As you breathe, slow and steady, imagine floating over that far side, over the craters that have never heard a sound, over the light that never reaches Earth. The view might be silent, but it speaks in another language, one of peace, patience, and the kind of stillness that only time itself can make. You're drifting now, deeper into the moon's stillness, where sound doesn't travel and time feels suspended. The surface beneath you is soft, gray, and endless. Every step you imagine leaves a perfect footprint that will never fade. There's no wind to erase it, no rain to wash it away. But the ground itself hides something strange, something that surprised even the astronauts who walked there. It's the dust. Lunar dust, or regolith, looks harmless in photographs, fine and smooth like powdered silk. But in truth, it's sharp. Every particle is the shattered remnant of meteors crushed over billions of years, unsoftened by erosion. Under your fingertips, it would feel like microscopic glass, and yet it clings to everything. When Apollo astronauts first returned from the surface, they couldn't escape it. It coated their gloves, their suits, their visors, even the inside of their spacecraft. It floated into the air, hitching a ride on static charge. Some said it felt almost alive, as if the moon itself didn't want to let them go. But what startled them most was the smell. The moment they took off their helmets and breathed in the cabin, the scent hit them. Burnt gunpowder. It wasn't imagined. Lunar dust truly smelled smoky, metallic like something scorched. But how? There's nothing on the moon that can burn. Scientists think the smell came from chemical reactions between lunar dust and oxygen inside the spacecraft. For billions of years, that dust had lain dormant in vacuum. Once it met air, it reacted instantly, releasing the acrid scent of something ancient being awakened. The moon had no air, but it remembered the chemistry of its past. It clung stubbornly, too. The tiny shards embedded themselves in joints and zippers, cutting into seals, scratching visors. Some astronauts developed lunar hay fever, sneezing for hours after exposure. Imagine that, the quietest world in the solar system making humans sneeze. And yet, even this dust tells stories. Its particles preserve the footprints of cosmic history, traces of solar wind, micrometeorite impacts, radiation patterns. Some grains may be older than Earth's oldest rocks. Inside them are records of how sunlight changed over time, like the universe's diary written in powder. Underneath that dusty blanket lies something else, layers of glassy rock and volcanic plains. In certain places, the dust hides beads of orange and green, tiny droplets of ancient lava, frozen mid-splash billions of years ago. They're like little jewels scattered across a gray desert. When Apollo 17 astronauts found them, they didn't expect color on such a muted world. But those tiny orbs told scientists that the moon once had fire in its heart. Its interior wasn't always silent. It once convulsed with heat, magma, and gases bursting through cracks in the crust. The dust you see now is what remains after that fire cooled, the ashes of creation itself. When sunlight hits it, the surface glows faintly silver, but under infrared light, it reflects shades of red and blue, depending on mineral content. The moon isn't monochrome. It's subtle, painted in whispers of color only light itself can hear. And though we think of it as dead, the moon still changes, particle by particle. Micrometeoroids strike its surface daily, releasing small puffs of dust into the weak lunar exosphere. A thin atmosphere, so faint that a single breath would scatter it. Those tiny collisions make the moon sparkle ever so slightly, renewing its surface like the slowest tide imaginable. When you imagine walking there, every crunch underfoot is history. That dust once floated in the wake of creation, fell gently through the darkness, and came to rest under a billion nights of silence. Now it waits, untouched, until perhaps someone else visits, maybe a child from another generation, stepping where humanity first dreamed. There's something humbling in that. On Earth, our traces vanish quickly, footprints washed away, words forgotten, even monuments crumble. But on the moon, a single step can outlast civilizations. The tracks left by Apollo missions will remain for millions of years, frozen in that vacuum. The flags, the rover tracks, even the discarded tools, all preserved like fossils of human ambition. And somewhere among them, that dust still carries the faint scent of burned air, the echo of human breath that briefly met the moon and then left. A reminder that every encounter changes both sides, even in silence. So, when you next look up and see the moon's pale face, know this. Beneath that calm light lies a world covered in memory. Each grain of dust is an archive, holding the story of heat, fire, and the quiet persistence of time. And perhaps, as you drift towards sleep, you can imagine brushing your fingers through that ancient powder, feeling the history of the cosmos between your hands. It's not soft, it's not warm, but it's real, and somehow it's comforting, like holding the ashes of a star. The moon feels still, frozen in place, unmoving for billions of years. But that silence is deceiving. Beneath its dust and stone, the moon isn't entirely dead. It trembles. It stirs. It whispers in vibrations too faint for us to feel, but powerful enough to remind scientists that even quiet worlds have a pulse. They're called moonquakes, and the first people to truly hear them were not humans at all, but machines, delicate seismometers left behind by Apollo astronauts. Those instruments were designed to listen to the moon's interior, to detect even the smallest shiver. What they found surprised everyone. The moon isn't perfectly still. It quakes, sometimes softly, sometimes violently. There are 4 kinds of moonquakes, and each tells a different story. The first kind comes from meteor impacts, tiny rocks from space colliding with the surface. Each strike rings through the ground like a bell. But because there's no air, no moisture, and no tectonic plates to absorb the energy, the vibrations don't fade quickly. On Earth, earthquakes last seconds or minutes. On the moon, the ground can hum for hours. Imagine that. A stone world echoing itself for an entire afternoon, vibrating in slow motion beneath a silent sky. The second kind are thermal quakes. They happen when the long lunar night ends and sunlight returns. After 2 Earth weeks in freezing darkness, the surface suddenly heats up to over 120 degrees Celsius. The rocks expand rapidly, cracking and shifting as the day begins. It's the moon's version of waking up. A stretch, a groan, a sigh. Then there are deep quakes, hundreds of kilometers below the surface. These are mysterious. Scientists think they may be caused by tidal forces from Earth's gravity. As the moon orbits, Earth's pull flexes its interior, squeezing it gently but constantly, the same way you might knead clay in your hands. The stress builds until it slips, sending waves through solid rock. It's as if the moon is breathing under pressure, expanding and contracting in rhythm with our planet. And finally, there are shallow moonquakes, the most violent of all. Some of them register as high as magnitude 5 on the Richter scale, strong enough to crack walls if they happened here. These quakes startle scientists. The moon shouldn't be that active. It has no molten core, no tectonic plates. So where does the energy come from? For years, no one knew. Then, when NASA reanalyzed Apollo data with modern algorithms, they discovered something eerie. Many of the strongest moonquakes occurred near cliffs called lobate scarps, long, wrinkled ridges across the lunar surface. These are signs that the moon is shrinking. Yes, shrinking. Over billions of years, the moon's interior has been cooling, and as it does, it contracts like a drying fruit. The crust crumples, forming cliffs that snake across the plains. Each moonquake might be the sound of that slow contraction, the moon tightening, reshaping itself as it ages. It's a haunting thought. A world we see as eternal is still changing, just very, very slowly. The moon you see tonight is not exactly the same as the one your ancestors saw. Its face is shifted by mere meters, but that's enough for scientists to know it's alive in its own quiet way. Astronauts on future missions will need to build habitats strong enough to withstand those tremors. Imagine being on the moon, standing inside a small dome, when the ground beneath you begins to hum. The dust rises in slow motion. Pebbles tremble, but there's no sound, only vibration traveling through your boots. The moon doesn't roar when it moves. It rings. The way those vibrations linger, sharp, pure, resonant, is because of its composition. The lunar crust is dry and rigid, lacking the water and soft minerals that cushion Earth's quakes. So instead of dull thuds, the energy reverberates like a bell made of stone. That's how scientists described it. The moon rang like a bell. But don't imagine something violent or frightening. Picture instead a slow, distant hum beneath the silence, as if the moon were remembering something from long ago. Every tremor is a note in a forgotten song, a vibration echoing through time. And when you think about it, isn't that what everything does? We all carry small quakes inside us, tiny shifts that no one else can see. Old memories, sudden emotions, things we thought had cooled long ago. Like the moon, we change slowly, quietly, reshaping ourselves in ways only we can feel. The moon reminds us that stillness isn't the absence of movement. It's the art of balancing change so delicately that it looks like calm. So the next time you look up and see that silver face, remember, it's not a dead rock. It's an ancient instrument, still vibrating softly from the forces that made it. And somewhere in those invisible ripples, the Earth's pull continues to play its melody, the quiet song between two worlds bound by gravity and memory. Let that thought settle into your breathing, steady, slow, timeless. Because like the moon, you're still evolving too, even when you feel perfectly still. You've walked across the dusty plains and felt the moon tremble beneath you. But now, imagine descending into its shadows, the places sunlight has never reached. There at the poles, inside craters so deep that even light itself never enters, something ancient waits in silence. Frozen water, untouched for billions of years. These regions are called permanently shadowed craters. Some of them lie near the moon's south pole, vast depressions carved by ancient impacts. Because of the moon's gentle tilt, only about 1.5 degrees, the sunlight schemes across its poles at a low angle, never high enough to reach the bottoms of these craters. They have lived in eternal darkness since the moon was born. Temperatures there drop to minus 230 degrees Celsius, colder than Pluto. In that kind of cold, even atoms move slowly. Anything that lands there, a fragment of comet, a puff of gas, a drop of water, stays frozen forever. For centuries, scientists assumed the moon was bone dry. The Apollo missions brought back rocks that seemed barren, without even a trace of moisture. But in 2009, a small NASA probe named LaCrosse changed that story forever. It intentionally crashed into one of those dark craters, Cabeus, and the plume of dust it released carried a secret. Inside were unmistakable traces of water ice. That discovery stunned everyone. The moon, that dry world of dust and stone, held water, not just a few droplets, but millions of tons hidden in the coldest places imaginable. Some of it came from comets long ago. Some may have formed from solar wind, reacting with lunar soil. It's as if the moon had been quietly collecting the universe's leftovers, keeping them safe in the dark. Imagine what those frozen molecules have seen. They may have drifted through space long before Earth had oceans. They might have been part of the same cosmic cloud that birthed you, me, and everything alive. And now they rest there, silent witnesses of time, trapped in shadow. The idea that the moon has water changed everything. Suddenly, it wasn't just a relic, it was a resource. Future explorers could use that ice to drink, to grow food, even to make rocket fuel. The same water that hides in those shadows might one day carry humanity deeper into the solar system. But beyond its practical value, there's something poetic about it too. Water, the essence of life, hiding in a place without life. It's as if the moon, cold and barren as it seems, kept a small promise from creation, that life's ingredients should never vanish completely, only rest. If you could stand at the edge of one of those shadowed craters, you'd see a contrast beyond imagination. Around you, sunlit peaks glowing white, temperatures high enough to melt metal. Below, darkness so deep it feels physical, a black well of stillness that has never seen dawn. And if your eyes could adjust, you might see faint glints, reflections of sunlight bouncing off the ice far below. It would look like starlight trapped inside stone, a reminder that even in the coldest, loneliest places, light always finds a way to remain. Scientists now think these polar regions could hold a record of the solar system's history, layer by layer. Frozen archives of ancient comets, cosmic dust, even particles from the sun itself. Like tree rings in ice, they preserve every era of our cosmic story. The moon's shadows aren't empty. They're full of memory. One day, perhaps not long from now, humans will return there, not just to visit, but to stay. They'll build habitats near those craters, powered by sunlight reflecting from mirrors placed on high ridges. From those outposts, they'll look down into the blackness and know that, beneath their feet, water from the dawn of time is waiting. But tonight, you don't have to go there to feel its calm. You can sense it here, that cold, perfect stillness at the edge of light. The place where warmth ends and silence begins. The boundary where the universe hides its treasures, not to keep them from us, but to preserve them for when we're ready. As you breathe, imagine standing in that eternal twilight, surrounded by quiet cliffs of silver rock. The stars arch above, and below, darkness holds its secrets gently. The air, or what little there is unmoving. Every heartbeat echoes like a memory. That's the paradox of the moon's coldest places. They're lifeless, but not dead. Silent, but not empty. They remind you that sometimes what seems frozen is simply waiting for the right warmth, the right moment, the right touch to awaken. And maybe that's all the universe ever does. It waits, patiently, for awareness to find it. You're standing now at the edge of twilight, between the moon's endless shadows and the soft silver plains that glow beneath the sun. It feels ancient and still, but here's the strange part. The moon you're seeing tonight doesn't shine quite the way it once did. Long ago, its glow was brighter. Scientists believe that when the moon first formed, it wasn't the pale ghost we see today, but a blazing sphere of light. Its surface, still molten from its violent birth, radiated heat and reflected sunlight with almost mirror-like brilliance. The nights on early Earth would have been unlike anything we can imagine. Short, glowing, drenched in silver fire. Back then, the moon was much closer too. Gravity drew it nearer, so large in the sky that it might have looked 10 times bigger than it does now. Its light would have cast deep shadows across the young continents, illuminating newborn oceans. Even the first primitive life, the earliest microbes drifting through ancient seas, might have felt the rhythm of that brilliance as it waxed and waned above them. But brightness fades, as all things do. Over billions of years, the moon drifted away from Earth, about 4 centimeters every year, a slow retreat that still continues. As it moved outward, its apparent size shrank, and its reflected light softened. At the same time, its once smooth surface darkened. Constant bombardment by micrometeoroids roughened the crust, turning it into the matte dust we see now. Every crater, every grain of regolith, scatters sunlight differently. Instead of gleaming like glass, the moon now diffuses light, gentle, muted, perfect for night. What once burned became calm. It's almost poetic. The universe learned how to dim the lights so life could rest. There's another reason for its changing glow, one buried in chemistry. The basaltic plains, or maria, that make up the moon's darker regions were born from volcanic eruptions billions of years ago. As iron and titanium-rich lava cooled, it absorbed sunlight differently than the lighter highlands. Over time, that contrast created the face we recognize, bright scars surrounded by dim seas. If you trace them from afar, you can almost see the pattern of an eye, a smile, a watchful expression. Cultures across the world saw faces, rabbits, even lovers in those markings. Proof that the moon's beauty was never just in its light, but in its imperfections. And that brightness, or lack of it, does more than guide poets. It shapes our planet's climate too. Earth's night glow, called Earthshine, bounces faint light back to the moon, softening its own shadows. Meanwhile, the moon's albedo, its reflectivity, helps moderate how much sunlight our planet absorbs. If it were brighter, nights would never be dark enough for many species to thrive. If it were dimmer, our tides and biological cycles might lose their gentle cues. Its current glow is, somehow, exactly right, a perfect balance between illumination and rest. Think of that the next time you walk beneath a full moon. The light you see is ancient sunlight, reflected off dust that's older than any mountain and softened by time. It's not cold, it's patient. Each photon has traveled hundreds of thousands of kilometers, bounced off stone that hasn't changed in eons, and found its way into your eyes. You're literally seeing light that has touched eternity. For humans, that glow has always meant more than physics. It has been a clock, a calendar, a comfort. Before cities, before electricity, the moon's changing brightness told our ancestors when to plant, when to harvest, when to rest. Even now, scientists studying sleep patterns find that people still tend to sleep less under a full moon, as if our bodies remember an ancient rhythm, when its brighter nights meant more time for vigilance, movement, and wonder. Yet, as you sit here tonight, the moon's light feels soft, not commanding but soothing. It doesn't demand attention, it invites reflection. Its brightness has faded, yes, but that fading has made it gentle. The way a fire's last embers glow more beautifully than its first flames. If the early moon was a blazing mirror of creation, then this moon, the one we know, is its serene elder. Time has weathered it, darkened it, quieted it, but in doing so, time made it kinder. You can almost imagine the universe learning through it, learning that brilliance is fleeting, but warmth endures, that the loudest light isn't always the one that lasts. So, as your eyes grow heavier and the world fades around you, let that softened glow fill your thoughts. The same light that once burned over oceans of magma now rests gently on your eyelids, whispering the truth of all things. That beauty doesn't disappear, it transforms. You're floating now through that softened light, calm and weightless, when your mind drifts toward the only traces of human life that rest upon this world. Up there, on that quiet gray surface, our footprints still remain, unbroken, undisturbed, untouched by wind or rain. They are the forgotten echoes of a moment when humankind reached beyond its cradle. The first of those footprints appeared on July 20th, 1969. A human boot pressed in a dust that had never known weight before. Neil Armstrong's words. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, drifted through the static between worlds. On Earth, millions watched in stunned silence. But on the moon, there was only stillness. No sound of applause, no echo, just a single impression pressed into eternity. That footprint is still there, perfectly preserved. The reason is simple. The moon has no weather, no atmosphere, no erosion. Without wind or water, nothing sweeps away the marks. Time, on the moon, stands nearly still. So every footprint, every rover track, every small flag fluttered by a gloved hand in the vacuum, all of them remain, as if the astronauts only just left. 6 Apollo missions landed between 1969 and 1972. They brought back 382 kilograms of lunar rock, left behind scientific instruments, and carried home a new sense of humility. The moon, they found, was not a hostile wilderness, but a strangely peaceful place, a desert of silence where even thought seemed to slow. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin described it as magnificent desolation. Standing there, surrounded by endless gray plains and a black sky without stars, he felt both completely alone and deeply connected, as though he were standing inside eternity itself. Imagine what that must have felt like, looking up and seeing Earth, a glowing blue marble suspended in darkness. No sound, no movement, just a fragile shimmer of clouds turning slowly over oceans. It said that all who stood there felt something change inside them, a perspective so vast it couldn't be forgotten. They called it the overview effect. It's the realization that everything, every person, every song, every joy and sorrow fits into that tiny, glowing sphere in the sky. That realization humbles you. It makes you quiet. Back on Earth, the excitement faded. The missions ended. The dust settled again, covering the bases of landers and the treads of rovers. But the evidence remains. If you could look closely enough, you'd still see the reflection of metallic parts catching the sunlight, still see the gentle arc of rover tracks leading away toward the horizon, and scattered among them, small artifacts of humanity, a camera left behind to lighten a return trip, an American flag now bleached white by solar radiation, a photograph of a family sealed in a metal casing, even the footprints of a small aluminum plaque bearing the inscription, "We came in peace for all mankind." Those words still sit quietly in the dust, their meaning echoing through time. Because the moon doesn't forget. Every step we've ever taken, there is written into its surface like scripture. The same dust that once recorded meteor strikes now holds the marks of human curiosity. In a strange way, the moon became a museum, not one built by architects, but by silence itself. Every object there is frozen in its last position. The footprints, the tools, the rovers, even the faint traces of astronaut heartbeats recorded in seismic sensors. It's all still there, waiting, untouched by decay. Sometimes, satellites passing overhead catch glimpses of these relics. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has photographed the Apollo sites in stunning detail. The trails of footsteps like threads of memory stitched across the surface. From those images, you can almost imagine the astronauts still wandering there, their shadows stretching across the plains. And though 50 years have passed, not one of those marks is faded. They'll likely outlast every monument on Earth. Even our tallest buildings will crumble long before those footprints vanish. The moon keeps them, not out of sentiment, but out of nature. It holds still what we cannot. Think about that for a moment. Every heartbeat you've ever had, every breath, gone in seconds, lost to time. But a single step made in dust nearly 60 years ago will last longer than civilization itself. It's a strange kind of immortality, quiet, unintended, pure. The next time you see the moon rising, know that you're looking at humanity's reflection, not just in light, but in legacy. Somewhere up there, on those calm plains, the memory of our first exploration waits, undisturbed, still glinting faintly under starlight. Maybe one day, another traveler will arrive, kneel beside those old tracks, and touch the ancient imprint of a boot. And in that moment, across the gulf of centuries, one human will silently greet another, through dust, through time, through stillness. Until then, those footprints sleep, perfectly safe, beneath the gentlest light in the universe. You lie there beneath the same silver glow those astronauts once stood under, and it's almost impossible not to feel its quiet rhythm moving through you. The moon doesn't just shape tides or mark calendars. It touches us in more intimate ways. Its pull extends beyond oceans, reaching softly into our bodies, our thoughts, even our emotions. Science has long known that the moon stabilizes Earth's tilt and governs the tides. But human beings, it seems, have always sensed something deeper, a kind of emotional tide. Cultures across time have linked its phases to cycles of feeling, fertility, and restlessness. And even now, in a world of artificial light, some part of us still listens to that rhythm. Modern research shows that our biology follows a quiet lunar beat. In remote villages without electricity, people tend to fall asleep later and wake earlier during the days around the full moon. Even in cities, where the moon's glow is dimmed by neon, sleep patterns subtly shift. Heart rates slow slightly on crescent nights. Some people report vivid dreams when the moon is full. Not superstition, but a physiological echo, perhaps, of tides moving through the fluids of our own bodies. Because we are, after all, mostly water. 70% of you, oceans contained in skin. The same gravitational tug that lifts the seas tugs gently at you. It's faint, imperceptible, but it's there. Maybe that's why emotions swell and settle, why inspiration rises, why loneliness feels sharper under certain moons. It's not magic, just resonance. The body answering a call it's known for eons. Even time itself dances to the moon's rhythm. Ancient calendars were lunar, dividing months by its cycles. Months, as the word once was. Festivals, harvests, and rituals followed that waxing and waning. Our ancestors lived not by mechanical clocks, but by light and shadow, by the growing and fading of that pale disk in the sky. They didn't just observe the moon, they lived with it. Think of how constant that companionship has been. Every human who has ever lived has seen the same moon. Every generation, every civilization has watched it rise and fall, full and new, and found comfort in its predictability. It's like a heartbeat for the sky, slow, steady, eternal. But the moon's rhythm doesn't only mark time outside us. It marks it within. Astronomers once noticed how certain biological patterns, the growth of coral reefs, the spawning of fish, even the migration of birds, align perfectly with the lunar cycle. Nature listens, always. So perhaps it's no surprise that humans, too, feel that subtle synchrony, moments of clarity, melancholy, renewal, all turning like phases of the same unseen clock. The full moon, bright and round, is often associated with restlessness, that strange wakefulness you feel when you should be asleep. Maybe you've felt it, the room brighter than usual, your thoughts alive with old memories. The new moon, on the other hand, cloaks the world in deeper darkness, a time for quiet, for starting over. It's no coincidence that so many cultures have tied beginnings and endings to those nights when the moon disappears and re-emerges. There's comfort in that repetition. Life, like the moon, isn't linear. It's cyclical, waxing, waning, disappearing, returning. Every ending carries the shape of renewal. The moon teaches us that in its silence, and beyond its physical rhythm, there's the emotional one. Artists, poets, lovers, all have looked up and felt something stirring. Not just beauty, but belonging. The moon reflects not only sunlight, but our own longing for stillness. It's a mirror of emotion, a quiet witness to joy, loss, and everything between. If you think about it, the moon doesn't shine on us, it shines with us. Its light exists because sunlight meets it halfway, and it sends that light back. The same way empathy works, a reflection of what's given, a soft echo that turns brightness into warmth. So tonight, as its glow filters through your window, let it pull gently at your thoughts the way it pulls at the sea. Let it lift and lower what needs to move. You don't have to understand it, just feel it. Let your breathing fall into its pace. Inhale with the rising tide. Exhale with the falling one. You are not separate from the moon's rhythm. You are part of it. Every heartbeat, every emotion, every sleeping dream is written into that ancient cycle that began long before language. The same light that falls on deserts, oceans, and mountain peaks now touches you, quietly reminding you that you, too, belong to this great, breathing universe. And maybe that's why the moon feels so peaceful. Not because it's far away, but because, in some subtle way, it's home. You open your eyes again in that dreamlike landscape, the lunar surface stretching endlessly in silver and shadow. The closer you look, the more it resembles a library. Each crater, each ridge, each scar hold a record, a story from a time before Earth had continents or clouds. The moon doesn't forget. It keeps everything. Scientists often call it the library of the solar system, because, unlike Earth, the moon has no rain, no wind, no plate tectonics to erase history. Every impact, every collision, every tiny grain of cosmic dust that has ever touched it, all remain perfectly preserved. The moon's surface is a time capsule 4.5 billion years old. Each crater tells a story. Some are young, sharp-edged and clean, their rims still bright with freshly churned dust. Others are so ancient that their outlines have softened, their walls slowly collapsing under their own weight. A few craters overlap like layers of handwriting on an old manuscript, recording eons of celestial events. The largest of all, the South Pole, Aitken Basin, is more than 2,500 kilometers wide and 13 kilometers deep. It's one of the biggest impact scars in the entire solar system, so vast that it can only be fully seen from space. The object that created it must have been huge, possibly 200 kilometers across, and struck with energy beyond imagining. That impact reshaped the moon's crust and may have revealed part of its mantle, offering clues to its inner composition. When you gaze at the moon through a telescope, those craters shimmer like frozen echoes of violence. But here's the strange beauty of it. Out of destruction came art. The impacts carved patterns that, under soft light, look like petals, like ripples, like the fingerprints of time itself. The circular shape of craters, the delicate rays stretching outward from some of them, those aren't random. They're the geometry of physics written into stone. When a meteor hits the moon, it vaporizes instantly, creating a burst that radiates outward evenly in all directions. No matter the angle, the result is a perfect circle. It's as though the universe insists on symmetry, even in chaos. One of the most striking examples is Tycho crater, a gleaming scar in the moon's southern hemisphere, visible even to the naked eye. Its bright rays stretch for over 1,000 miles, forming a starburst pattern that glows especially strong under a full moon. Tycho is young, only about 100 million years old, but in lunar terms, that's practically yesterday. Its impact threw ejecta across the moon's surface, painting streaks of brightness that remind us. The moon may be calm now, but it was born in fire. There are older craters, too, giants like Imbrium and Serenitatis, which formed when asteroids the size of mountains struck billions of years ago. Later, lava seeped into their basins, filling them like bowls. Those dark seas, the Maria, are what form the patterns we recognize when we look up. The man in the moon, the rabbit, the guardian. Each of those shapes is a geological accident, and yet they became part of our imagination. In a way, the moon is both archive and artist. It records every chapter of cosmic history while shaping the mythology of those who watch it. It's strange to think that the same crater that helped scientists calculate impact ages also inspired poets to write of eyes, faces, and longing. But maybe that's what happens when silence lasts long enough. It becomes a mirror for meaning. The moon's surface also preserves a record of the sun. Its dust is coated with tiny particles of solar wind, ions trapped over billions of years. By studying those particles, scientists can trace how the sun's activity has changed, how its energy has pulsed and fluctuated since the dawn of time. It's like finding a diary written by sunlight, kept safe in the dust. Some researchers even call the moon the Rosetta Stone of the solar system, because locked in its layers are the clues to every major event, from the bombardment that shaped early planets to the quiet stability that followed. Each crater, each rock, each dust grain contributes a word to that grand, silent story. And it's not done yet. Even now, the moon continues to gather new records. Every small meteor that strikes it adds another page to the archive. Slowly, steadily, the library grows. If you could walk across its surface, you'd be walking across time itself, from the ancient, heavily cratered highlands to the younger, smoother plains. Every step would move you millions of years forward or backward. You'd be walking not through space, but through history, a place where past and present coexist in every pebble. Maybe that's why we find the moon so peaceful. It doesn't hurry to erase or rewrite. It simply remembers. And in that remembrance, it offers something we rarely feel on Earth: permanence. So as you lie there, eyes half closed, imagine tracing your hand across those craters, feeling the cool ridges, the soft dust that hasn't moved in eons. Imagine the stories locked beneath your fingers, impacts, explosions, births of worlds. And then imagine letting go, knowing that somewhere above, the universe has already written everything down. The moon remembers, so we don't have to. And that, in its quiet way, is its greatest gift. You've wandered through the moon's quiet library, touching its craters like pages in an ancient book. But now, imagine looking up from that dusty surface and seeing something that no human had ever seen before: Earth rising. It happened in December 1968, during the Apollo 8 mission, the first time humans left Earth's orbit and traveled around the moon. As their spacecraft emerged from the far side, astronaut Bill Anders turned his head toward a window and gasped. Outside, above the gray horizon, hung a sphere of blue and white, delicate, glowing, alive. He grabbed a camera. The photograph he took became one of the most iconic images in history: Earthrise. From that moment, everything changed. For the first time, humanity truly saw itself from the outside. A single world, small and beautiful, surrounded by endless blackness. No borders, no nations, just one fragile home. On the moon, there is no atmosphere to tint the sky. The horizon ends abruptly, curving into deep space. Imagine standing there, your boots pressing into powdery dust, and seeing the Earth floating above a sea of gray. You'd see continents slowly turning, storms swirling over oceans, the faint halo of atmosphere glowing like a breath. And you'd realize, in a way that no map could ever show, how connected everything is. The astronauts said it was overwhelming. Anders himself later said, "We came all this way to explore the moon, and the most important thing is that we discovered the Earth." Looking back, that moment was more than just a photograph. It was a mirror. It showed us how small we are and how precious our world is. In that quiet instant, humanity's gaze shifted from conquest to contemplation. Space exploration wasn't just about reaching new worlds anymore. It was about understanding our own. When that picture was broadcast to Earth, people stopped what they were doing. Families gathered around television screens. Classrooms fell silent. For the first time, billions of people shared the same view: our planet rising above another world. It was humbling, almost spiritual. The moon had become a vantage point for perspective. Its silence gave voice to something we'd forgotten: that Earth, with all its noise and color and chaos, is rare. The only place, as far as we know, that sings with life. Even now, satellites and astronauts continue to capture Earth from space, sharper, brighter, with better cameras. But none of those images ever quite match the original Earthrise. Maybe because that first one wasn't just seen through a lens. It was seen through wonder. From a scientific view, Earthrise doesn't actually happen the way we imagine. The moon is tidally locked, always showing the same face to Earth. If you stood on its near side, Earth would hang motionless in the sky. The sun would rise and set, but Earth would stay still, a permanent blue ornament. Only from orbit, as Apollo 8 circled the moon, did Earth appear to rise. The motion was ours, not the planet's. And maybe that's the deeper truth. Perspective is always about movement. When we change our position, our view transforms. Sometimes you have to leave home to truly see it. That's what the moon gave us. Not just knowledge, but clarity. From there, you can't see cities or wars. Only clouds drifting over continents, oceans shimmering in sunlight. It's so peaceful that you'd never guess the noise that hums across its surface. It makes you wonder how much of our chaos is self-made, how much of our stillness we've forgotten. The astronauts of Apollo 8 read from the book of Genesis as they orbited the moon on Christmas Eve. Their voices trembled as they described the creation of the world, not as conquerors, but as witnesses. And billions listened, feeling, for once, united under the same fragile sky. From that moment, Earthrise became more than an image. It became a prayer, one whispered not in words, but in awareness. The awareness that home is small, that beauty is temporary, that unity is possible. So as you breathe slowly, imagine that view. The moon beneath you, pale and endless. The earth above, vibrant and alive. Between them, the infinite quiet of space. And in that stillness, one truth shines clearer than all others. We are already traveling together, always have been, on a small blue ship through the dark. If you ever forget what peace looks like, just remember that view, the one that showed us for the first time how beautiful we already are. You close your eyes and the moon changes shape again, not as a scientific object now, but as something older, more human. For all its craters and data, the moon has always lived in our stories first. Long before telescopes, long before rockets, we gave it names, faces, and meaning. It was the keeper of dreams, the watcher of lovers, the clock of gods. Every culture that ever looked up at the night sky found the moon waiting for them, patient, unblinking, reflecting whatever they believed. It was never just a rock. It was a mirror for the human spirit. In Greek mythology, the moon was Selene, a goddess who drove her chariot of silver light across the heavens each night. She fell in love with Endymion, a mortal shepherd. To keep him forever beautiful, Zeus granted him eternal sleep, and Selene kissed him every night as he dreamed. In her, the ancients saw devotion, love that asks for nothing but presence. In China, the moon became Chang'e, a woman who drank an elixir of immortality and floated up into the sky, leaving her beloved He behind on earth. Each mid-autumn festival, families light lanterns and share mooncakes, believing she still looks down upon them from her palace of light. Her story, like the moon itself, is one of longing and distance, a love separated by time, yet never broken. The indigenous peoples of North America told of the moon as a protector, a guardian spirit watching over the earth's creatures. Some said the shadows on its face were the footprints of a great rabbit who leapt into the sky. In Japan, it was Tsukuyami, the moon god whose calm contrasts the fiery temper of his sister, Amaterasu, the sun goddess. And in the Pacific Islands, the moon was seen as a canoe, carrying the souls of ancestors across the ocean of stars. The stories vary, but the feelings don't. Everywhere, the moon is tied to love, loss, renewal, the most human themes of all. Perhaps that's because the moon's cycle mirrors our own, growing bright, fading, disappearing, and returning again. It's the rhythm of life, death, and rebirth, written across the sky. In ancient times, before clocks, people measured their lives by the moon's phases. Farmers sowed seeds by its light. Fishermen set sail by its glow. Women marked their own cycles by its rise and fall. The very word month was born from the moon. Month, a reminder that time itself began with its changing face. Poets, too, found themselves drawn to its soft contradiction. Cold, yet comforting. Distant, yet familiar. Its light belongs to the sun, and yet it feels personal, intimate. Maybe that's why so many love stories are set under moonlight. Its light borrowed from elsewhere, shared freely. In Arabic poetry, the moon is often a metaphor for beauty. Lovers were called Ya Qamar, O moon. In Renaissance Europe, it was the emblem of melancholy, the muse for night thinkers, wanderers, and dreamers. Shakespeare's characters looked to it for guidance. Basho, the Japanese haiku master, called it the ancient light that touches all things. And though our science has stripped away mystery, the feeling remains. When astronauts walked on the moon, they didn't erase its myths, they added to them. They became part of the same story, carrying our oldest symbol of longing into reality. The moon unites opposites. It belongs to everyone and no one. It's the same in every sky, seen by kings and children alike. It connects the first fire-lit villages to the gleaming cities of today. Every time someone looks up in wonder, they join a lineage of dreamers stretching back to the dawn of consciousness. Maybe that's the true power of the moon, not its gravity, but its ability to make us pause, to remind us that wonder itself is ancient, that no matter how far we travel or how advanced we become, there's still something holy about looking up at the same light our ancestors prayed to. As you breathe slowly now, imagine those stories swirling through the centuries, voices whispering across cultures, all speaking to the same silent companion in the sky. The myths were never wrong. They were metaphors for what science later proved, that we are bound to the moon, physically and emotionally. It moves our tides, and it moves us. So the next time you see its glow on the water or through your window, think of Celine's chariot, of Chang'e's quiet palace, of the rabbit hopping across the sky. Think of all the people who looked up before you, searching for meaning in that same light. You don't have to believe the stories to feel them. You only have to remember that behind every myth is a truth too large to fit into facts. The truth that beauty is not to be explained, but experienced. And that's what the moon has always offered us. The oldest story of all, the story of wonder itself. You followed the moon through myths and memories, but the story doesn't end in the past. Even now, as you lie under its light, humanity is preparing to return, not for a fleeting visit, but to stay. For the first time in half a century, our eyes are turning upward again. The dream that began with Apollo is being reborn through a new program. Artemis, named after Apollo's twin sister, the goddess of the moon. It's a fitting name. Where Apollo was about reaching first, Artemis is about returning wiser. This time, the goal isn't just to touch the surface, but to build upon it, to create a lasting presence among the stars. NASA, along with space agencies around the world, plans to establish the first lunar base near the moon's south pole, where sunlight lingers along crater rims and shadows guard frozen water below. It's poetic, isn't it? The same ice that hid in eternal darkness may now sustain the next generation of explorers. Imagine what that will look like. Silver domes gleaming under a distant sun, rovers gliding silently across the plains, astronauts walking slowly in low gravity while Earth hangs forever on the horizon. In those shadowed craters we spoke of earlier, they'll mine the ice to make water, air, and even rocket fuel. Solar panels will stretch like wings, capturing light during the moon's long day, storing it for the endless night. Each outpost will be small at first, a habitat, a lab, a shelter, but together they'll form a foothold for something greater. From there, humanity will test what it means to live away from Earth, to sleep, to grow food, to dream under a different sky. And once we've learned that, the next step will come naturally: Mars. The moon is not the final destination, but the bridge, a quiet, nearby world that teaches us how to survive among the stars. The place where humankind will rehearse its future. But beyond technology and ambition, there's something deeper happening. Our return to the moon is not just about exploration. It's about reflection. When astronauts stand there again, gazing at Earth, they'll feel the same realization the Apollo crews did. That home is fragile, precious, and small. That the farther we go, the more we understand what we already have. Space agencies aren't alone in this dream. Private companies are joining too, sending small landers and rovers, mapping resources, designing habitats. Nations that once competed now share data, trade instruments, and plan missions together. The moon, once a symbol of rivalry, has become a symbol of cooperation. And yet, it's not only scientists who will return. Artists, philosophers, maybe even poets will one day walk there. Imagine an observatory built on the far side, where no radio noise from Earth can reach. There, telescopes could look deeper into the universe than ever before, perhaps even glimpse light from the first stars. The moon will become not just a laboratory, but a sanctuary for curiosity. It's humbling to think that when humans go back, they'll step into their own footprints, the same prints left 50 years ago. Dust older than humanity will once again bear the mark of a human boot. It's as though the moon itself has been waiting, quietly patient, for us to return. Some scientists believe that our species will one day call the moon home, not instead of Earth, but alongside it. Children may grow up looking at two skies, one of blue and clouds, one of black and stars. They'll know both gravity and its absence, both day and night stretched into strange new rhythms. And in that experience, they'll understand something we're only beginning to grasp, that belonging isn't bound to one place. The moon will always be our reflection, not just in light, but in progress. What we build there will mirror who we are here. If we go with greed, it will echo that. If we go with care, it will shine brighter than ever. As you imagine those future explorers, their slow movements, their breath misting in the cold, think of how far we've come. From myths of gods to footprints of astronauts, from whispered prayers to planned colonies. The moon has always pulled us closer, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. It's funny, isn't it? We've spent thousands of years dreaming of going there, only to discover that what we really find each time is ourselves. Someday soon, someone will stand at the edge of a lunar base, watching the Earth rise just as the Apollo 8 crew did, and whisper something new. Not a declaration, not a conquest, but gratitude. Gratitude for the journey, for the light, for the connection that never breaks. Until then, the moon waits, steady, patient, unchanged, a silent promise in the sky. The journey is nearly over now. You've traveled through fire and shadow, through dust and memory, through the silence of space and the hum of unseen tremors beneath a lifeless crust. And yet, somehow, the farther you go, the more familiar it all feels. Because the moon, this cold, distant sphere, has never really been separate from us. It's our reflection, our companion, our quiet twin. Look up one last time. There it is, the same moon that has watched over every birth, every death, every whispered wish in human history. It's strange to think that it has been there through it all. When the first creature crawled from the sea, when the first spark became fire, when the first eyes looked skyward and learned to wonder. The moon has been a constant, a soft light in a restless universe. Its orbit keeps our world steady. Its gravity steadies our tides and seasons. Its reflection steadies our hearts. Even when clouds hide it, we know it's there. That quiet certainty, that gentle reliability, is something we crave in a world that changes too fast. Maybe that's why the moon feels so human. It's scarred but luminous, distant but connected, always there, yet always changing. A reminder that beauty doesn't require perfection. It only requires presence. For all its silence, the moon speaks, not in words, but in rhythms. The slow rising and falling of tides, the waxing and waning of light, the return of calm after every storm. It teaches us patience, how to move in cycles instead of straight lines, how to rest and begin again. If you listen closely, you can almost hear its lessons. That endings are not losses, they're pauses. That shadows are not voids. They are places where light is learning how to return. That distance does not mean separation. Sometimes it's the very thing that keeps connection intact. And perhaps that's what makes the moon eternal. Not its stone, not its orbit, but its meaning. It holds space for stillness in a universe full of noise. It reminds us that reflection is a kind of light. You can imagine it now, floating silently in the black, half illuminated, half hidden. From the bright side, Earth glows softly, its blues and greens pulsing with life. From the dark side, stars scatter like whispers across infinity. And between them, the moon drifts, carrying traces of both, the living warmth of one, the quiet vastness of the other. One day, perhaps, the moon will drift too far to hold us. The tides will fade, the nights will grow darker, and humanity, wherever it is then, will look back at this pale companion and remember. But for now, we still belong to each other. We still share this dance, earth and moon, body and mirror, memory and dream. If you close your eyes, you can feel that rhythm, a slow pull at the center of you, a gravity not of planets but of peace. It's the feeling of alignment, of being exactly where you're meant to be in the vastness of everything. The moon doesn't judge, doesn't demand. It only reflects. And in that reflection, you can see yourself, quieter, smaller, but somehow infinite. So as the light fades from your room and the edges of thought begin to blur, let the image linger, a world wrapped in silver light, the moon above, ancient and kind. Let your breath match its orbit, steady, slow, endless. Because the truth is simple and beautiful. You've never been alone at night. Somewhere above, through clouds and darkness, the same moon that watched over the first spark of life is watching over you now. It has seen everything, forgotten nothing, and still it shines. Sleep well beneath its glow, knowing that as you drift away, it drifts with you, silent, patient, eternal. And now, as the last traces of thought fade into the quiet, you find yourself floating somewhere between waking and sleep, that gentle space where time dissolves and the mind begins to dream. The moon still glows above, a constant presence in the soft darkness, its light filtering through memory like mist. You've seen its birth in fire, its tremors beneath the dust, its hidden water sleeping in shadow. You've walked across its craters, traced its myths, and watched Earth rise from its horizon. You've felt the slow rhythm it shares with the tides, with your breath, with the steady turning of your own heart. And through it all, the moon has remained unchanged, faithful, distant, but never far. Its light reaches you even now, a faint echo of the sun that warms your days. In that reflection, you can feel the balance of things, warmth and coolness, movement and stillness, sound and silence. As you drift deeper into rest, imagine yourself lying upon its surface, looking up at Earth, that fragile, glowing marble suspended in black. Let that view calm you. Let it shrink your worries down to their true size. You are part of this vast, beautiful cycle, made of the same dust that built the moon, the same light that travels from star to star. You are not apart from the universe. You are one with it. So breathe in the quiet. Let go of the day. The moon will keep watch for you, as it always has, serene, unblinking, eternal. Sleep peacefully, Traveler of the night, the world is turning gently beneath you, and the moon is waiting just beyond your dreams.